I had to do it all again, what would I do differently? What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I was recently asked if I could do a video on what I would do differently, or kind of what I would do knowing what I know now if I were 18 again, fresh out of high school, or even say early 20s, fresh out of college. How would I handle money differently? What would I do differently? That kind of thing. So I think this is a really interesting topic because I don't know about you, but for me, and what seems like for most people, they kind of grew up all hearing the same verbiage about money. And it seems like it was always negative, and not to like bash our parents in any way, shape, or form. It just seems like it was such a taboo thing to talk about. At least when I was a kid growing up. And it seems like in most other households as well, it was very taboo to talk about money. You didn't talk about it. The only kind of catchphrases you ever heard about it was, what do you think I'm made of money? Or money is the root of all evil. Or what do you think money grows on trees? You know, all the classic shit that you heard when you were a little kid and you said, I want a bike, or I want this, that, or the other. It was always some kind of like negative catchphrase that came along with money. And it just is a really hard thing to kind of outgrow, I guess. You just kind of develop this mindset around money that it's there's never going to be enough of it. It's always going to be a struggle. And so you just kind of, I guess, get used to the idea of money is always going to be a struggle for you in the rest of your adult life. I guess that's how it seemed to me. You know, and I'm not saying like we weren't poor or we weren't, you know, hard up or anything like that. It just seems like those catchphrases were in every single household from what I can tell and from what other people say. So it's just kind of interesting. And I think it just does stem from the fact that it was such a taboo topic, or I don't know if it still is. It kind of seems like we're kind of getting over that. At least I hope. And that is also another little part of me doing this channel is like, I hate that money's taboo. Why aren't we talking about it more? So lack of education is certainly a huge, huge, huge problem, I think, when it comes to money. Like myself, and I think everyone I know was just kind of thrown into the world with just those negative money catchphrases in the back of your head and no other clue about how to handle it or what to do with it. So, good God. If I could go back, I think the number one thing that I would change is to realize that I needed some education about money before I kind of started out in the world and made any huge financial decisions that could impact the rest of my life, i.e. student loans, going to college, taking that on, or going right out into the workforce. Like there's so many things to know and to try to even a little bit understand before you even get started in your adult life. So I think that's the number one thing that I would do differently is I'm so sorry for the noise upstairs, is try to get an education, or at least some little grasp of the implications that I was making at those young ages and how that could impact the rest of my life. Because y'all know this channel is based solely around my student loan debt. So I think I would start there. And kind of on that same foot, I would really have a talk with myself. Is college necessary? I'm not saying college isn't necessary. I'm just saying, like, if you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life at such a young age, I don't think just going to college just to go to college just because everyone's doing it, just because of society pressures, I don't think that's smart, especially if you're doing it and as a result are having to take on student loans that are going to be with you for a very long time in your adult life. If you don't know, take more time. For me, I guess luckily I always knew I wanted to be a marine biologist. I knew from the age of 3. So there was no question in my mind what I was going to do, what path I was going to go down. Not that that's the path I'm still on, but anyway. So kind of two things in the same topic, like get an education and make sure I know where I'm headed, the choices that I'm making at that age are going to impact me for a long time, and so therefore is college a necessary thing for me? And I think along those same lines of, is college necessary, kind of taking a look at the cost benefit of a potential higher education and what the outcome salary ranges are for that particular degree that you might be wanting or pursuing. Maybe it's much more worth it to you to go to a local college, you go to trade school. I don't know if you can just kind of mentorship or internship under a particular profession that you want to do someday. All of those are kind of cheaper options rather than just like jumping into a four-year university degree and just kind of starting with basic classes because you don't know what you want to do. Like you're likely to rack up way more debt doing that than going to a local community college, trade school, that kind of thing, and exploring your options in a cheaper way. The second thing that I would have done differently, and I'm just going of order in which that I experienced these things in my life. While I was in college, I opened up a bunch of store credit cards and got myself into trouble because I was just being stupid. I didn't know about credit cards, or I didn't know how to handle them. I didn't really think about the interest of these cards and how that $50 shopping trip now would be like $100 if I paid it off in the long run with these high interest store credit cards. And for me, I had so many and I got myself into trouble, which if you watched my debt journey video, you've already heard the story, but I came out of undergrad with about $14,000 worth of consumer debt. I think it was all store credit cards and I think some small personal credit cards, just because young and dumb. I don't know. I don't really have a good other explanation other than I didn't know what the hell I was doing, didn't know what I was getting into, didn't really give a shit about what that interest rate was all about, and didn't really take the time to kind of calculate out my purchases in the long run. If it takes me 6 months to pay off this $20 item, I'm actually going to be paying $40, $50 in the long run. Things like that. I had no clue whatsoever. So, of course, knowing what I know now, if I could go back to that young little me, I would never take out store cards. Never. Yes, I understand, because I had personal credit cards back then, I do have a long credit history, which is a good thing to have if you're to build your credit score over the years. Like the longer credit card account or any open credit account that you have, and you're smart with that account, it does nothing but help your credit score. So I think it's a good thing to have a credit card, but not until you know how to financially handle it. So I am kind of grateful that I have that credit history, but just I would, of course, handle it a lot differently than I did. I would not spend stupidly just because I was in college and trying to keep up with people and keep up with fashion and I don't know, bullshit that I did not need to buy and I hate that I even cared about, but you just do when you're in high school and college. You care about the clothes you're wearing, the bag you're carrying, what your hair looks like. You care about those things, and it's unfortunate, but whatever. All those things cost money, and if you don't have the money, hey, here's a credit card. Stupid. But again, when you don't know better, it kind of sucks. And I just want to say, like, I am happy I went through all this at the young age that I did, so I could figure it out, fall on my face, pick myself back up, and kind of be on a better path in adulthood, or at least I hope so. I mean, I'm not saying I've made every smart choice since then, but I damn well have never opened a store credit card since, and I never will, and thank goodness. I kind of touched on it in the last point, but the next point would be keeping up with the Joneses. I absolutely am so against that kind of mindset nowadays, but I wish that I had been more smart, more conscious about it in my younger days. So I just wish that I had the confidence back then to block all that shit out and not give a shit what Tina was talking about over there or what she was wearing over there. Who cares? Nowadays I wear the same grubby I mean, you all see the same t-shirts. I have like 3 that I rotate between. I don't give a shit. I wear the same nasty ass t-shirts. So I mean, I work in an industrial plant anyway, so no one cares. But even in my real world, in my day-to-day life, like I wear the same jeans and t-shirt. That's just me, and that's how I'm most comfortable, and that's how I'll always be most comfortable. I just don't care anymore, and I just wish I had that confidence when I was younger, because it would have saved me so much freaking money trying to impress people that were bitches or assholes and didn't had no bearing on my life whatsoever. But it's hard when you're in that kind of situation. It's hard to see the other side of it. So I get that, but you know, you can't really go back and change those thoughts in your head. So it is what it is. But hopefully, I don't know. I hope other people have more confidence than I did to just kind of do their own thing. Another really dumb thing I used to do was impulse buying. I mean, we're all guilty of that shit at every stage of our life. But I used to go out of boredom to Target. I don't know a single damn person, at least a female, that didn't do that shit. You just wander around Target because you're bored. You just happen to have a cart in front of you, something to lean on, you know? No, you filling that cart up and you know it. Put that shit back. God, I wish I didn't do that. Just dumb shit. Just boredom, walking around stores. Oh, I'm just gonna look. Just some window shopping. Right. Stupid. Don't do that. I'm yelling at me, not you. Okay, so these next 3 tips, I would say, are really kind of come into play when you have your first big girl job out of college, right? Or whatever, big kid job. So, first and foremost for me, I didn't start investing. Of course, I had no idea what the hell. I didn't know about 401k and Roth and investing and all this. That was like so above my head. Only like heard whispers of it. No idea what the hell any of that was. So I just ignored, put it off. And I'm so mad at myself about that. Not that I'm not really mad at myself, because you can't kind of hold that kind of energy, but you know, I just wish I knew better. I just wish I knew better. I wish that, I don't know, somewhere along the lines, either from your parents or in school, you learn about retirement accounts, your different options, investing accounts, brokerages. I don't know, like all this shit was just in my early 20s. And so obviously I didn't have a 401k, not obviously, but I did not have a 401k. The only 401k I had was from my job before this one that I have now. And it was like $1,200, because that's all I could afford. And I'm already 36. No. I'm so sad I didn't start that shit years ago. Like compound interest, y'all. Holy crap. Oh, so frustrating. And no, I take that back. I had one 401k. Other than that, God only knows what job that was from. I don't know. But I do remember I did have a 401k once that I cashed out just because I was desperate. You know how it is. Your early 20s, you're like scraping by in shithole apartments and your car's falling apart and you just you just rice and beans and you're just trying to survive on your shit salary, and you just and then when I don't know, I think I took a different job and I had to move, and I was just like, oh my God, I need a new deposit for a new apartment, because you gotta put down your new deposit before you get your old one back. Where the hell's that money coming from? Oh, look at this little 401k I had. I mean, granted, it was probably, I think it was like $1,500 at the most. But still, I had to cash that shit out, Just, oh, God. Anyway. Oh, well, what are you gonna do? Nothing. But I want you to know better. I want younger everybody to know better. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I would have started a long time before I did. It's all right. Nothing I can do about it now except try my best. Always get your company match. Hello, don't leave free money on the table. But in Roth IRA, I wish I had started a Roth IRA years ago. Like, that's tax-free money, y'all. Tax-free growth. Dang it. But it's okay. That's why it's on the list, right? Something I would have done a long time ago. Oh well. And then another thing that I would have done, or I wish I would have done years sooner, was face reality with my finances. It wasn't, well, you've seen my spreadsheets. It was 2016 when I finally started tracking my damn budget. That's only because it was out of desperation. I was living in South Florida, sharing a studio apartment with my ex, working for the state, making $32,000 a year. I had $600 a month, paid once a month, by the way. That shit is rough. But I had $600 a month above my monthly bills. So that was gas, groceries, any kind of shit that came up, maintenance on my car, anything other than monthly bills. $600 a month in South Florida. Are you joking? Oh, that was rough. That was rough. We lived in the hood. Oh my god, we couldn't afford anything else. It was, oh my. But I should have been budgeting a long time before that. But I just didn't want to. I didn't want to face it. I didn't have to face it. I kept, well, shouldn't say that. I kept skirting along on, well, when you graduate college, you have that 6-month forbearance where they give you a little leeway to find a job and get your shit right. And then I took 3 years off in between undergrad and grad school. 2.5 years. 2.5 years. And during that time, I came out of undergrad with only about $25,000 worth of student loans, so the monthly payment was not a big deal. But then grad school. Yeah. For the last year or two of grad school, like I was on the 5-year plan, okay? Not by choice necessarily. But anyway, for that last 2.5 years, I was just taking thesis credits. And I didn't want to face reality about how much debt I was racking up during that time. And I was just straight up being lazy about finishing my degree. All I had to do, I had to write my thesis. Like, yeah, that shit was a bear. That was a bear. That sucked. It was time consuming and it was awful. But at the same time, there's like your real life that's kind of happening too. You're trying to like move on from college and get your real life going. So you got your full-time job. I bought a house at the time, just trying to do my thing, live my life, and yet still having to work on my thesis nights, weekends, and my free time. And it was always the last thing I wanted to do, but I didn't face reality and look at, holy shit, every semester you're racking up, I don't even know how much. Well, we all know the shit heap I'm in now. Just so much fucking debt, so much debt, so stupid, because I didn't want to just sit down, write that shit, and get it over with so I could move on with my life. I just was being lazy about it and put it off, and that was so stupid. I could probably have maybe as low as half the amount of student loan debt I have now. So dumb. If I could go back and do that over, I would get my head out of the sand about where things were at, what was piling up on me semester after semester, and just realizing, like, you already have your full-time job. You're only making this much. How the hell do you think you're going to pay off this much? You gotta put the two together. You need to, and this really blends back with my point about taking a serious look at the degree you're getting and how much you're paying for it versus your expected salary when you're out in the real world one day. I wish I had connected those dots sometime in my earlier years, but you know how it is. Can't go back and fix it now. I think that's kind of really everything I wanted to cover. I think the biggest takeaways from that is if you are, 18 to 25, just really take a hard look at the decisions you're making in as far as higher education, and really think about, is that really what you want to do? Is that really what you want to learn? What is my income potential when I get out of here? And really weigh the cost versus benefit, and make sure that that's something that you can confidently, comfortably handle in your future. there's so many other avenues nowadays. It's like really popular right now to be an entrepreneur and working on your side hustle and building that into a business and breaking out and doing your own thing, and everybody's giving the middle finger to corporate America. It's like it's kind of awesome. So I don't feel like there's as much societal pressure to go to college and get your degree, whereas um, at least for me and my family and in the environment I was in growing up, it was you got to get good grades in school and go to college and get your degree and find a good job and stay there forever. And whoo, that is just so not the case nowadays. There's so many more options available. Not that they weren't there before, but now they're just so much more mainstream, I guess. It's especially now with the pandemic, it's shown a whole different side of things to everybody, and it's like really, I think it's really gotten people thinking about alternatives, and alternatives not just of making money but standard of living. And I feel like society is moving away from the pressures of keeping up with the Joneses, and I absolutely love that. I hope that I'm right, or maybe it's just the things that I'm choosing to focus on and the people that I'm choosing to follow and pay attention to. But I really hope that's true. Like, I feel like, at least for myself and like kind of the little bit older half of the millennial crowd, who there's so much crippling student loan debt that I hope and I feel like we are, well, I don't think kids are in the cards for me. I think I'm a little beyond that point. But for us, those of us who did have kids, I feel like the talk in the household about money will be differently. It'll be more open and not taboo, and it'll be. I just feel like the financial education is going to be a lot stronger for the next generation, and I hope that's the case. But on that line, if you are right now in your late teens, early 20s, fresh in the workforce, or you've just had your head in the sand for a while, you don't know kind of where to start with money, or even what to do, or maybe now you have your first job and you just want to make sure that you are setting yourself up financially in a positive way. I highly, highly, highly want to recommend this book to you guys. This book I read, when did I read this? 2018, I think, when I first got this job. This is called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And I know the title is a bit kind of like, ooh, he's one of those gimmicky gurus, but he's really not. This is for your average, everyday working person that isn't quite sure where to start, what kind of retirement accounts they should have, what kind of savings accounts. Like, this is like a bare bones, start from scratch book for your finances and getting yourself started on the right path, or even you might have some of these complete, like an emergency fund or opening your first 401k. You might already be there, and that's awesome. But maybe you're curious about other things, investing, or how to negotiate a raise at your job. Like, he provides really good verbiage for that kind of thing in this book, and I think it's awesome. Like, I just want to read you on the back panel. So the premise of the book is kind of like a 6-week program to get your money straight, and each week is like a kind of a different concept. So I'll just read the back real quick. And it says, in week 1, optimize your credit cards, learn exactly what to say to get overdraft fees waived, and rack up rewards. So week 1 is learning about credit cards. Week 2, set up a no-fee, high-interest bank account that won't gouge you. So week 2 is all about where to store your savings. He has very strong opinions about shitty banks that take advantage of people, and other banks that are helpful and beneficial. So I found that very interesting because I, of course, he hates Bank of America, and Ramit's not shy about making that known. And I used to have a Bank of America account, and they were charging me so much fucking money in overdraft fees. It was infuriating. Like, oh, this person's broke, let's make it worse. What the fuck? Anyway, in week 3, open a Roth IRA or a 401k. There you go. Your first retirement accounts, if that's what you're into. That's what you'll learn in week 3. In week 4, learn how to save hundreds of dollars a month and still have enough to buy what you love. Love that section, and I'll explain more why in just a second. In week 5, automate your accounts so that they all work together. Super awesome once you know how to do that, or once you get it all set up. Super helpful. And then in week 6, see how investing is the single most important way to get rich and create a portfolio of your own. So he goes a little bit deeper into more investing options and private investing accounts that aren't just your 401k or Roth. So super helpful shit. And I love this guy because, don't get me wrong, I love Dave Ramsey. I followed his snowball method, and then I did the avalanche method to get rid of all of my credit card debt and my private student loans. Super helpful. But what I find Dave Ramsey not to be helpful about is when you beat people over the head about buying expensive lattes. I hate that shit. I'm sorry, but if you stop buying a $5 freaking latte, let's say you buy one 4 days a week. Even if you bought one 6 days a week, $1,200 a year is all that would save you. Have your goddamn $5 latte. What the hell good is $1,200? Like, that's not a big win. Ramit focuses on big wins, like buying a smart car instead of a douchey expensive one. Like, he is probably quite rich nowadays, but still drives a Honda Accord because that's just not what's important to him. So he's all about like focusing on what things that make you happy and spending lavishly on those things, but being stingy in other areas. So he doesn't give a shit about a car, so he drives a Honda. But he likes nice clothes, so he spends more money on nice clothes. And he also likes lattes, so he spends $5 a day on lattes because realistically, that's $1,200 a year. Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Dave Ramsey and all you Dave Ramsey followers, but $1,200 a year is not a big win whatsoever. And another big strategy that I find awesome in this book is that he gives you really good verbiage for negotiating a salary at your job. Negotiating like a $5,000 or $10,000 pay raise at your job, that's a huge win. That's what you need to be focusing on, not skimping on your lattes. If they make you happy, they make you less miserable to drive to that job that you hate, why would you deprive yourself of that? It's just not, it's not a big fight to worry about winning, in my opinion. So I really love that book. I wish I had read that book when I was in my early 20s. It would have helped me see the importance of having those early retirement accounts and start investing from way back when and earning that compound interest. Like, my retirement account would look so different nowadays if I had just started so much earlier and not cashed out that one. But, you know, I understand shit happens. You got to do what you got to do. But so if you are looking for some good, solid money advice where you can have, you know, you budget yourself and you get your retirement accounts set up and you get your emergency fund, but then you can also have a budget set aside for guilt-free spending. Like, I don't know about you, but there is so much spending I've done in my past that had guilt associated with it. Before I knew how to manage my money and get a grip on it, I felt guilty about every damn thing I bought. And like, that's just a sucky way to have to go through life dealing with or thinking about money, is in some kind of guilt mindset. So I do have that book linked down below if you would like to check it out. Again, I highly, highly recommend it for anyone at any age. If you just want to get a little more insight into what would, you know, maybe some healthy money strategies to get you set up right. So I know this video has been very long already, but I tend to ramble when I get really passionate about things. Personal finances and personal finance education is, of course, one of those things I'm quite passionate about. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Bless your heart. I really appreciate you guys. And again, if you have any other suggestions about future videos you guys would like to see from me, please feel free to comment below. Don't forget to check out Ramit's book down in the description box below as well. And I will catch you guys in the next one.